dear Bagginses and Boffins.
Don Lemon. I don't know. Is that racist? I don't know.
Yes. I think I'm gonna just fast forward real quick to get that off the screen. I can't. I can't get it off the screen.
It's not literally Don Lemon.
No, that's why it's racist. We'll just go with it. And if we get flagged for racism, I will complain, saying I didn't do it. Nerdrotic did. I was just commenting. Okay, we're rolling. And action. Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing with our review of Nerdrotic's breakdown of the Amazon Lord of the Rings and how it's going to be an epic failure. And so let's get into it. Let's pick up where we left off.
In a forbidden love with another original character because we're in 1960. I don't know what the hell this is. This is supposed to be a female dwarf. Where's the beard?
Okay. That was really quick. So, he briefly criticizes the black elf, and human, forbidden love situation as being from the 1960s. Now, this is a thing that has happened in Peter Jackson's movies before. In The Hobbit, we have an elf and a dwarf falling in love. And so we've had that sort of forbidden love idea before within the world of Middle-earth. I think what Nerdrotic is objecting to is the on-the-nose political commentary, social commentary of a black person and a white person. And so that's why he's making the 1960s joke.
Right, when even just the elf and the human might be, because I mean, the Elrond wasn't happy about Arwen and Aragorn.
Exactly, and literally in the books, he took in Aragorn as and raised him like a son, and raised him to be a king, which is why I always mention Aragorn is a completely different character from book to movie, and for me, it works better in the movie. I like this idea of someone who never intended to be king, needing to find the strength within them to become that person that they are supposed to be. I like that story. So to me, it works. I mean, we already have the forbidden love with Aragorn. We have the forbidden love with, what's his name, Keeley, and that elf in The Hobbit. So we have this already. I think the objection is the color of the elf and the fact that it is a little on the nose. I'll give it that. All right. But I still think it's a fine story to tell. I don't think it takes anything away the fact that it is on the nose unless they really go over the top with the references to real world situations. Right? I think like you said, having an elf and a human is enough. We have seen these elves really push back against that kind of situation before. So if it's in a similar vein, to me it'll work. And where's the beard? We mentioned this before. I was completely in agreement with Nerdrotic to when I first saw the teaser, when I first saw the posters, and I've since calmed down from that, mainly because, as I mentioned, we have potentially an unreliable narrator in the hobbits that wrote these fictional works that then the fictional idea of Tolkien is then translating. But also, we potentially have dwarf cultures that have, in this age, are a lot more integrated into human and elf society to some degree. And perhaps they have started adapting some of their looks, as we've commented, saying Galadriel's armor looks kind of like Gondorian armor. Perhaps this particular sect of dwarves has adapted a more human style of either beauty or just in terms of how they want to appear when they are out and about in society, right? Like there's a lot of potential explanations for the beardless dwarf. is it easy just to add the beard on and have a bearded dwarf? Sure. I think it would have been a nice just something nice for the true fans to have, like, because you do need to throw these hardcore fans a bone. I completely get that, and that's one thing Peter Jackson did. I think that is one of his best traits, is being able to throw subtle clues that he does understand the lore, but needed to change things for the movie, but he still wants to throw in some Tom Bombadil lines. He still wants to throw in some references to things that he couldn't put in the movies, that other characters talk about, or even just how they react to certain events. I completely get that. And so I think in this context, maybe they should have just thrown the beard on. To me, I ultimately think they didn't, because they wanted to show that it was a female dwarf, and if you did have a fully bearded dwarf that looked like Gimli and then just said that that's a female dwarf, they might then get hate the other way, saying that, why are you just casting male actors to play female characters? You see what I'm saying? So, like, that might have been their dilemma. But I do think the true fans do need some nuggets of deep Tolkien lore to make them feel good about what they're watching. And I get that. I don't know. Where do you stand on this whole bearded dwarf? You mentioned it before, but have you changed your mind on it? Or are you swinging one way or the other now?
I mean, I am kind of the view that there could be female dwarfs with beards and some without beards. And even if they have a beard, maybe she chose to shave. You know, maybe
Exactly.
There's cultural differences too. I mean, I know there are women who who have a tendency to grow facial hair today, and a lot of them shave it. So this might be the same thing.
That's true. And there are some diseases that actually cause facial hair growth on women, and so they're forced to get it waxed or shaved or whatever. So, yeah, I agree, and I also think that if you're gonna have different groups of dwarves, perhaps they don't want to look all the same, right? Like, sometimes they want to show some difference, and this could be one group that decided this is how we will show difference. What is clear is that the dwarves that Bilbo and Frodo meet and talk to have a male dwarf shave their beard, it means that dwarf, it's a punishment. So that is the one thing where if they change that up, again, you're getting into some dangerous territory there. I mean, but this is something we don't talk about. Aragorn should not have a beard. Aragorn could not grow a beard. That is in the books. That is Tolkien canon. And yet, I can't picture Viggo beardless playing Aragorn. Can't do it.
Yeah, because you have like a rugged ranger.
You need the rugged ranger look, and how do you pull that off with babyface?
Yeah.
So the facial hair stuff, there is some differences even in Peter Jackson work, but I think there are some things where it's like, why change it? With Viggo, like you said, I think Peter Jackson is like, I need this guy to look like a rugged, unkept, wild person at first, and then he just continues that beard look throughout the entire film. So, yeah, just wanted to include that because facial hair stuff comes up and we don't often talk about Aragorn.
Dwarf women's role in society. Dwarves wanted their women to be protected from the other races, and they usually kept them concealed inside their mountain halls. They seldom traveled in the outside world, only in great need, and when they did, they dressed as men with similar voice and appearance as male dwarves. Even when they are rarely seen, they are usually mistaken for a male. All dwarves have beards from the beginning of their lives. I'm thinking you missed a great opportunity here.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Hallbrand.
Okay. I agree. I think they did miss an opportunity, but I just want to point out the passage that he was quoting, they don't have the rights to. The passage they have the rights to states that dwarven women often get mistaken for dwarven men because of their voice and their appearance, very similarly. It doesn't mention beards in the appendices of The Return of the King. And from that, it's perhaps they are wearing helmets and stuff where you can't see their face, although as we saw Gimli's helmet, you can see it, so that kind of doesn't quite fit, but essentially it doesn't mention beards in the passage they're using. However, I agree that if it was something super easy, just throw it to the fans, unless they weren't allowed to use it. That's the only other explanation that we always have to keep in the back of our mind, that they talked to their lawyers or they talked to the Tolkien estate, and the estate said, no, you can't have bearded dwarf women or something like that. Although that seems silly considering The Witcher has it, so you could literally just say we're copying The Witcher. So I don't know. There's a lot of different things going on when it comes to what they can put out there, and so I just wanted to point out that the passage though that he used is not one that they can be referencing.
And a new character who is a fugitive of his own past, because again, Tolkien didn't create enough characters. They needed to create new ones because they are going to improve on Tolkien. Listen to this. The driving question behind the production, McKay adds, was this: can we come up with the novel Tolkien never wrote and do it as the mega event series that could only happen now? Oh, and as far as Tom Shippey being involved, and if you don't know who he is the foremost Tolkien scholar. Well, yes, he was initially involved with the series until this. Tom Shippey gave an apparently unsanctioned interview to a German fan site that July, opining on what the show can and cannot explore. Not long after that, Shippey was no longer involved with the series. You're not going to endear yourself to a lot of Tolkien fans when you do Tom Shippey dirty. Couple that.
Yeah, so it's not clear what happened there. That makes it seem like they let Tom Shippey go because he gave that interview. I'm not really sure what happened there. I do agree though that it's unfortunate that he's not with it anymore.
Yeah.
With the multicultural that aren't a race Harfoot hobbit tribe that's going to center around 2 female hobbits. And then you have this. In the novels, the aforementioned things take place over thousands of years, but Payne and McKay have compressed events into a single point in time. It is their biggest deviation from the text, and they know it's a big swing. Apologies in advance for getting into the deep lore to a lot of the normies out there, but there are 3 major characters in the Second Age, and only one gets a passing mention in this article.
Okay, actually, I just want to jump back because he didn't actually elaborate, but when he's talking about this, that things take place over thousands of years, and yet the show is going to condense it or compress it into a single point in time, this is exactly what happens in Peter Jackson's, right? Like, Frodo, it seems in the movies that Frodo gets this ring, then Gandalf rides out, and then comes back.
It seems that way, but it's not impossible that we are fast forwarding in time.
You're right. Peter Jackson brilliantly does not tell us how much time.
Yeah.
Because that way, people who are watching the movies aren't going to be like, "Oh my God, it's been how long?" and then the hardcore fans are like, "Yep, this is how it happened. It took a long time," and like nobody cares. So the fact that they made it, he was able to condense it and still appease everyone, like it worked for everyone, to me, I think is a genius move. Can they do it? We'll see. Now, this is kind of another Game of Thrones thing, but that was my big problem with the later seasons of Game of Thrones. Events that should be taking place over maybe an entire season because of how long things take to happen and plan and get from place to place for these characters. They just start, jumping around the map. And
right, they spend whole seasons traveling the land, and then then some they'll do it like between episodes. They don't even show it. They've made the whole
Yeah,
distance.
and literally I don't even think they had the map in front of them. I mean, we're getting off on a tangent. I don't think they had the map in front of them because some of the events that happen just it doesn't even make sense how ships get from one coast to the other without encountering anything in between those two moments because they can't go through the land. They have to go all the way around. So, as long as the show doesn't do stuff like that, as long as it all feels like a consistent pace, I think we'll be fine. So I wanted to point that out because Nerdrotic makes it seem like this is a big problem, a big deviation. To me, this is not. I actually think this is a smart thing to do. If you have a bunch of pieces in the appendix of events and you're going to make 5 seasons of show, you want things to be happening throughout this show. So you're just going to have them going from moment to moment as long as it feels like it's earned. So that's all I wanted to say there.
I mean, I don't know. I might be on Nerdrotic side here.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think they could do a good show focusing more on a particular points in time, or they could flat out hop between seasons and have a completely different set of characters.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of them condensing 2,000 years into a year.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it depends on what types of events are being condensed, and I think it also depends on how they choose to show the events, because if they do it in a way in which we're not even sure of the passage of time, it could be long, it could be short, and like a perfect.
You're right. We're dealing with elves who don't age really.
Yeah.
It could work. You're right.
And as you pointed out, if you use the season endings as jumps, and you don't tell us how long, you can bypass a lot of it.
You're gonna have to turn over your human characters because they'll be dead.
Yeah, you have to do that. But the elves and the dwarves can get away with it. Yeah. And maybe the hobbits, depending on how long. Maybe not thousands of years, but like 50 years or something.
Right. Yeah.
But
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell.